Perception is a thought, belief, or opinion often held by many people based on appearances. In society, how we perceive ourselves in turn affects the way society perceives and treats us. This idea is reflected in numerous novels as well as real life and is an idea in psychology. The theme, how we perceive our society and our own circumstances affects the way society views us and how they treat us because of it, is prevalent in novels such as The Bluest Eye and Persona 4.
Every night I pray to God to deliver me blue eyes.
The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison is a book about a young African-American girl named Piccola. It takes place in 1941 in Ohio. The story is about the struggles Piccola goes through as a young African-American and how she believes that none of her problems would exist if she were beautiful. Piccola perceives herself as unworthy and the root of her problems because she is not beautiful. Because of this, everyone in the book hurts her in some way at some point. Her feelings of inferiority make it easier for those in the book to target her and be malicious. For example, the boys at Piccola's school bully her and make fun of how she is black, although they are also black. The book states it was their contempt for their own blackness that gave the first insult its teeth. This shows how since she perceives her blackness as ugliness, those around her do too, and can use that as ammunition. Not only did Piccola believe she was ugly, her family thought they themselves were ugly too. For example, they lived there because they were poor and black, and they stayed there because they believed they were ugly. Since her family also perceives themselves as ugly, they choose to never better their lives. They believe that what they have is what they deserve because they are ugly, making those around them also think this.
Perception, Persona? Persona 4 is a Japanese comic book that revolves around 7 teens that discover a world inside the TVs that is overrun with beings known as shadows. These shadows are the embodied repressed qualities of someone. They represent how the person views their negative qualities and how they believe others will perceive them. Once the person accepts that perception, the shadow becomes a persona, a manifestation of the free qualities instead of the repressed. In Persona 4, there are multiple characters that deal with this conflict of perception, one of them being Kanji Tetsumi. Kanji Tetsumi is one of the main characters of Persona 4. He becomes famous on the television for fighting delinquents. This gives him a reputation as a bully, and rumors start to circulate about him being a thug. This is ironic due to Kanji actually enjoying feminine things such as knitting and cooking. Throughout the book, Kanji struggles with his insecurities on his sexuality due to the image others give him. He wants to enjoy feminine things, but is stuck on the perception that society gives him as a man.
Naoto, another Persona 4 character, is a high schooler who works as a famous detective, coined as the Detective Prince. He is serious and invested in his work. His TV persona is seen as cool, suave, and incredibly intelligent. However, he is not what he seems. Naoto is, in fact, a girl. In order to be taken seriously as a detective, she needed to dress and act like a boy. In the TV world, her shadow represented a sex change, which in turn symbolizes her need to be a boy, to be respected within her chosen work environment. Later on, she finally realizes, through the awakening of her persona, that she is already a strong woman, and as long as she is herself, ambitious and headstrong, she will still be respected. It is through this revelation that she truly becomes herself and becomes an even more famous detective than she already is. Bluest Eye and Persona 5 both revolve around perception and the idea of how the characters perceive both themselves and society, and how that affects our attitudes to the people around us and how they react to us in turn. The characters, Piccola, Naoto, and Kanji, are similar in the way that their insecurities allow them to fall into the trap of being ugly or being manly, when in reality, they do not have to be either of these things. In both novels, how the characters perceive themselves as weak, ugly, or girly allows the people in their society to mold them. This is an idea that appears in many novels, shows, and even video games, which can be seen in the recurring theme throughout Persona and the Bluest Eye.
In conclusion, the mind sees only what is prepared to comprehend. In both stories, the perception the characters face is different from the reality. All these characters perceive themselves in a certain way, which in turn makes society treat them in said way. For them, their perception is their reality. However, through utilizing this theme, the authors are telling us to deviate from our own reality. If we learn how to observe ourselves the way we want, society will treat us the way we wish to be treated. Perception in society is powerful and infinite. We all have our minds. How you perceive yourself is the most important because how we see ourselves is how at least one other person will see us.